Do you have a vision for the future? How do you imagine the future? Is it more gloomy and dystopian, or is it bright and utopian? Finally, do you, as a design practitioner, actively work for this future? My research is about what visions the design practitioners have about the built environment and how they utilize this vision in their practice. Welcome. My name is Fanny Melles and I'm a PhD researcher at Swinburne University of Technology. And this presentation will introduce you to the practical understandings and use of the smart city concept in Australia. Today, I will present why could cities be the key to the challenges we face, my interviews with professionals, their visions for our built environment, their understanding of the smart city concept, and the concerns, opportunities, and strengths of those features according to their professional opinion. Humanity is facing significant challenges, and as the humankind tends to be more and more urbanized, these challenges are ever more present in urban areas. In 2018, 55% of humanity resided in cities, which is predicted to grow over 65% by 2050. Although cities only cover 3% of the dryland area, they are known, among others, to consume more than 60% of the Earth's resources, produce 70% of the world's waste, and emit 70% of greenhouse gases. With solving these issues, cities can be the solutions for many challenges, and the next generation of cities must be able to do so. Many types of future of cities were established by different organizations, such as the Sustainable City or the Livable City, and the Smart City itself. Smart city can be understood as the technologically advanced city with better efficiency. Smart city can be identified with smart citizens using the city in smart ways. Smart cities may contain sustainability, resilience, and so on, or can be defined by levels, pillars, or indices. However, there is no one agreed definition for the smart city concept. Additionally, this whole discussion seems to be separated from you, the design practitioners, who are effectively responsible for creating the built environment. The professionals are rarely involved in the discussions about the future of cities, and we wanted to know how the professionals understand the smart city concept and how they operationalize this understanding in their practice. Thus, we started to listen to them. And so we arrived to the interviews with professionals. First of all, since there is no one overall accepted definition for the smart city, the research and the interviews are not limited to talk about smart cities, instead to focus on the future of cities. In this way, the professionals were allowed to talk about many different futures for the cities and to be pro or contra smart city. The ethics approval was received on the 9th of April 2020 for interviewing design professionals, including architects, urban planners and designers, and engineers via semi-structured interviews online. The semi-structured interview format is based on a set of questions starting the conversations, but there is the opportunity to follow the interesting threads of reasoning, and I must say there were many. That is why the original 60-minute period was not always enough to finish the interview. This means a lot of information to discuss. But today, I will only talk about the first 5 questions of those interviews. What does the future of cities mean? Is the future of cities the smart city? What are the 3 biggest concerns, opportunities, and strengths for the future of cities? The interview phase is still in progress. However, the pilot phase provided an interesting selection of interviewees. My first 11 participants are not only designers by profession, they are also involved in research. This was an advantage to learn how these specially situated professionals use their knowledge in their practice. Unfortunately, there was no urban designer or planner in this selection, but the continuous process includes these professions as well. So what does the future of cities mean in the professional opinion of these people? First of all, many of them highlighted that the vision they have is heavily based on the current built environment, as cities have been here and been providing habitat for the humankind. To be sustainable and realistic, it is not viable to destroy everything and build up again from the ground. They seem to agree on that the physical environment is more or less set in our cities, so since we need to change something, then it must be the human approach. People need to understand their impact on the built and natural environment, which they can influence for the better. However, they also agreed on that the projects affecting the built environment must include the learnings of the current experiences and not just including the COVID-19 situation. Their answers included a wide range of characteristics, from people to data, economy to sustainability, as the word frequency analysis shows from their answers to this question. The second question, whether smart city is the future of cities, was dividing, I must admit. Since there is no overall accepted definition for the smart city, the participants gave interesting answers. From the 11 people, only one had a clear definition, and even this participant acknowledged that their definition must be 1 in 100 I can find. The answers range from smart to not smart, but majority of them said that the future of cities is not exactly smart. However, all of them were talking about smarter ways to live, design, and work. When I asked why they are avoiding the term smart city, many of them admitted that nowadays it is more of a marketing slogan without a real meaning, or they do not want to use a controversial term without a clear definition. The three questions are the ones which gave the depth to their concepts. These questions allowed the participants to be advocates for their visions and investigate them in detail. The number 3 was only provided to help them focus and give them the possibility not to talk about everything. Although they were talking about their own visions, the fears, opportunities, and strengths tended to be quite different from one another. Usually the strengths were most detached from the other two. On the other hand, it appeared more than once that what was acknowledged as a fear or concern also was turned into an opportunity, something to enhance. The answers were able to be grouped around 8 bigger topics: the built and natural environment, city as an entity, community, design, economy and energy, and technology. Talking about the built environment, the professional's biggest fear was decreasing density, because density means more efficiency in infrastructure, for example, according to them. Although this wasn't highlighted as an opportunity, it was a strength to which current cities could pay attention to. From the opportunities, better transport seemed to be the most important. Regarding the natural environment, they acknowledged the problems, however, they were not really occupied with this topic as a cohort. Only endangering biodiversity came up more than once in the conversations as a fear. The fears of city as an entity was the greatest interest of the professionals. They were talking about this topic the most, resulting in the biggest collection with 14 elements. Interestingly, their biggest concern was too much regulation without sense, and their biggest strength was decentralization with, for example, the introduction of the 20 or 30-minute cities. As the concepts for the future of cities are more and more citizen-centric, the professionals were also very much occupied with the community. They highlighted their biggest concerns as not fulfilling humanity's potential and privacy due to the data collection. The opportunities for community was the second biggest group, suggesting that the community has huge potentials in the future of cities, including becoming more intelligent, better user experience, and increasing community control over urban areas. Unfortunately, the participants did not seem to think collectively about the strengths of the communities, also suggesting that there is a lot to improve in consciously involving the community into the future of cities. It was a huge difference between research and practice, talking about the design, because the research rarely mentions the design aspects of the future of cities. The fears and challenges of design was the third biggest in number, and the most mentioned ones were keeping the design quality during development and the loss of designers' influence on the city. These professionals were also intrigued by the new technologies, which can help to enhance design, better understanding of places through data, and using the data for evidence-based design. It was somewhat disheartening that as designers, they were not really talking about the strengths of design. From economy and energy, only the first had a fear with local manufacturing, and the second had one strength which were mentioned more than once: better efficiency. Finally, technology contained data collection and too much technology for the sake of technology as biggest fears. On the other hand, the professionals, as it was mentioned before, they embraced the technology, seeing huge opportunities in this area, with closing the gap between knowledge and technology, understanding and utilizing data, and finally, using the gathered knowledge to increase the growth of cities. So, in conclusion, the fragmentation of the literature is detectable in the practitioner's approach as well, even with the ones connected to research. As the three questions established, the fears can be transformed into opportunities, while the strengths were somewhat detached. And finally, it is really interesting that only 11 participants mentioned 127 different items for the three questions. This shows the previously observed fragmentation and also an opportunity and a problem. The fragmented attention is positive because they can cover a huge area of knowledge. On the other hand, it can be dangerous because something crucial can be missed if there isn't a shared understanding of what our future of cities require from the practitioners. In case you wish to discuss the progress and the findings further, or would like to be interviewed, please do not hesitate to contact me. And thank you very much for your attention.